Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. Hope everyone's doing good. It is Saturday at about 10:21. Pretty nice wintry day. Today is the National Toboggan Championships. That's a big deal at the Camden Snow Bowl in Camden, Maine. So that's a big thing with tourists and teams, all the teams that participate. I'll be up there this week, or actually in a few hours, playing a gig up there. So we were able to load in early. We were able to load in last night because it's pretty chaotic with the amount of people that get up there, that go there, and all of those things. So we were able to load in. So it should be fun. Play for a couple hours up there. But anyway, so I have been obviously I haven't done a video, or some things came up the last few days and I wasn't able to do a video, or videos I should say, for the channel. But again, I'm back to trying to always do a video more or less every day. Try to keep with like a consistent thing. For a while I was doing a video every day and uploading it to the channel, and then also doing posts about certain movies that I was covering. And then also after that, I kind of try to be conscious when I'm uploading videos that it's possible to kind of like oversaturate, or you don't want to like oversaturate or kind of overstay your welcome by putting too much stuff up. And I understand that. That happens sometimes with social media, where I've talked about that with friends, where Facebook or Instagram or what have you, people who like upload content, they have said, if they do something all the time, they're uploading videos and content, there tends to be, it loses the public, or the folks that are checking out that particular channel or page. Their interest in checking it out might wane a little bit, and the numbers will go down, as opposed to like doing it sporadically, or not every day, which makes sense, because you can kind of overstay your welcome. You can kind of oversaturate the little market you might have. Like in my case, I have a very little, a little market that of people that seem to be into the videos, and then you have people who have massive audiences. So, but I think it makes sense, like that you can kind of oversaturate. So, but I really enjoy doing these videos. So what I was doing after that point was I would still record and upload videos, but I was just switching more over to premiering, setting the videos up as premieres. Putting a bunch of videos, and setting them up as premieres for like the following month, even, or weeks. So trying to break it up, and I did that for probably about a month or two, where I was still recording videos every day, but I was setting them up to as premieres way into the future. And then we had these crazy storms here in Maine at the beginning of the winter season, especially in December. And we had power outages, and then I had to get a new internet set up. My internet had gone. I had to get a new server and all of this stuff, and then so there was a big, huge lag with me being able to do the videos. But now things have been. I got a whole new setup, and it's much better now, so it's way easier. So I'm kind of back for what it's worth, back in business as far as being able to upload videos, anytime or whatnot. But for the last, it's probably been about a month, or yeah, probably just about a month, maybe a little less. I have been watching all of the Game of Thrones series, or all of the seasons. I It was funny, the last time I went to get a new season, I had thought that there was like 7 seasons, but then when I went to Opera Video, which is the video shop here in Belfast that I go to, owned by Dennis Howard, I thought, okay, I'm getting close, and I'm on season. There are, I should say, it goes to season 7, and then I realized, oh wait, there's another season 8. So I was like, oh wow, okay. And again, the series Game of Thrones has been pretty much over for quite a few years. I had never really seen the show. Well, I should say I did see some of the show back quite a few years ago. For whatever reason, I did not stay with it. I didn't finish it, and then but I had really liked what I had seen. I think I had made it up to about season 3, and I definitely thought it was great, especially the early seasons that I had seen. I thought those were really great. Really loved them, but I had a lot of reservations to invest, all the time and money that it would entail to basically watch a show that has been on, close to 8 years or 10 years or whatever it's been. Maybe not 10 years, but a very lengthy show. I've always been like, okay, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of investment. I don't know if I have that in me to watch a show for that long. And I've always said that that's always been a problem that I've had with streaming shows. And again, that being said, there are some incredible shows out there. There's some really wonderful series. Some of the writing is some of the best around. But I have always felt that, especially the longer series that do exist, that it's just too they're just too long. They just go on for what, for all intents and purposes, for me at least, that they go on too long, and there's kind of no end in sight, and it always reaches a point. In my experience, it always reaches a point, even if the show is really really good, it becomes exhausting, and I'm just like, I get to a point of where I am like, I start shutting down, even if the show is good, even if the writing is great, the direction's great, the casting. And in most of my experiences, that has been a thing, of where I very much enjoyed certain series, but it reaches a point where I'm just like, okay, folks, let's just wrap it up, And that's one of the things why I love movies so much, is because you get, a good movie, you get that experience, and it's a real thrilling experience, hopefully, but it has a, the narrative it's got a beginning, middle, and end, and it's conclusive, and then you can move on. It doesn't, you don't have to sit with a movie that will go on for weeks or years at a time. It's like, I think of, for example, if a movie, I was going to do a show on this movie today, but then I realized I already did a show on. But just as an example, Alex Garland, who is a director and also a writer, he's one of my favorite people right now, and has been in the world of movies. He is an amazing director, a really great writer. He directed movies, Ex Machina, Annihilation, Men, that came out, I think, last year. He's also got a brand new movie coming out, Civil War, which I really want to see. He also wrote the screenplay for Dredd, which is the Judge Dredd movie that came out a few years back, which is which is really fantastic. He's one of my favorite figures, and so today I was thinking, I think I want to do coverage of one of his movies, Annihilation, with Natalie Portman, which I think is an amazing movie. He had done it right after Ex Machina, and I have both Ex Machina and Annihilation. I have them both on Blu-ray, and again, he's one of my favorites. And so I was going to do a show on Annihilation, and then I realized I already did a show on that movie a while back. So I was thinking, okay, what about and and again, it's a kind of a weird way of thinking about it, but like case in point, well, I have it right here. Taking for instance, taking Annihilation, which is Alex Garland adapted this. This is Annihilation was adapted from a book. I haven't read the book, and I think the book, the original novel, which is a science fiction novel, I think it's under a different title. But I know Alex Garland got the rights to the book that this movie is based on, and adapted it to this, for this film, and then he wrote Annihilation around it. And I haven't read the book, but I've seen lots of interviews with Alex Garland in regards to the movie and the original book, that the original source material, and I've heard other people talk about the book, and where they have said that the book, I guess, is pretty long. It's a very long. It's a novel. It's very long. It's pretty lengthy. It's super dense, and it's very complex. But it's supposed to be very, very good. I have not read the book. And he talked about how when Alex Garland adapted the story, he decided to really kind of trim out certain aspects to kind of have it more cohesive and focused for a theatrical film. And again, so I was just thinking, okay, in regards to Game of Thrones, I was kind of making an analogy. The Game of Thrones seasons, which there are 8 seasons. Of course, all of these books were written by George R. R. Martin, and I was thinking, it is, in one light, it is a tough comparison, but in one light, I think it does make sense. You take one book, like one complete story that, for example, what I'm talking about with Annihilation, as opposed to the Game of Thrones books, where I believe there's like 6 books. And so you have this entire series based on all of these books. But to me, it's like, well, if Alex Garland decided to like do a series and turn this into a series, and where he wrote the movie, but then decided to kind of continue the storyline and make it into a trilogy or a storyline, I just feel in that context, it would overstay its welcome. The movie it just wouldn't have the impact that it would have otherwise. And I feel like with Game of Thrones, it's a strange thing, because I believe it's on season 5. Season 5 is where basically the source material is where it ends. And at that point, the HBO, the people who were in charge of creating Game of Thrones, they decided to extend and write and take artistic liberties, and basically can write their own storyline, trying to make it as cohesive as possible with the original source material. But basically, they were going to tack on these other additional stories in order to continue Game of Thrones, because the show, and I think obviously that was done because of how incredibly successful Game of Thrones was and has been. It's one of the most popular show, arguably the most popular show on television, and one of the most successful storylines, books, and a smash success for all intents and purposes. So they were obviously trying to make more money and to try to continue that storyline because they realize this show is kind of a phenomenon. It is a huge hit. It has reached a massive, massive audience. It's making, I don't know how much money. It's making an incredible amount of money for HBO and everything. So it's it's a dangerous thing of when I think people decide to take that on. It's a very fine line, and I feel like I know it's a strange comparison, but I feel like if in the case of what if Alex Garland did that, with the storyline where he decided to continue it, it's a tough angle, and I think it could overstay. It risks undermining a really great film and the original source material. It really can diminish the quality of some previous work, and when you look back at in hindsight. And so, Game of Thrones. The thing is, like, I finished up the last video I posted. I had finished up season 5, Game of Thrones, and I posted a video on my review of Game of Thrones probably about 3 or 4 days ago. And I've been ripping up until this point. I've been ripping right through the show. I've been if you want to call it binge watching, but I watch. I can watch a few movies in one setting. I usually watch typically in my regular day, kind of routine or regular night routine. I typically watch a movie every night. But there's certain days where I'll watch a few, and whatnot. But so watching a lot of movies or content is not, a big deal for me. I typically, when I watch movies, it's always usually at night. I always find it as well. I find it, like I've said it before. I always find it as like a bit of therapy for me. It's a really cool way for me to. Not only do I love movies so much, but I love what it does. Is I feel like it's kind of therapeutic, but it kind of helps me kind of decompress from the day. So I do it now where I don't even think about it that I'll throw in a movie. So, but I've been obviously watching Game of Thrones, and I did a show on season 5, and I felt like it was great. It was awesome, especially the one of the last battle scenes in season 5, which I think is just incredible, that involves the the Night King. Just incredible, and it just was some of the most exciting sequences and narrative in the entire storyline. Just thrilling, and as fantastic as I feel especially the first couple of seasons are in the series. I honestly felt okay. I kind of think it's just getting better. The stakes are higher. There's all of these shocking deaths of people that I care and people and characters that I care about that are just getting offed, and it's like I'm like incredible. It's shocking and it's amazing, and the writing is so great. I love that they were, the storyline, the whole kind of fantasy supernatural element was creeping more and more into the show and to the series. Just fantastic. And I have to say, so I'm on season 6 right now, and I'm on the last disc of season 6. And for me, to be totally honest, it's totally shifted for me. I feel like right now, well, in all honesty, for me, it's dragging ass completely. I feel like a heavy level of fatigue has set in. I feel exhausted watching the show now. I feel that there's certain things that have happened in the series in season 6 that are kind of absurd and kind of ridiculous, especially around where you have there's two central characters in the series in the show that essentially were kind of killed off, and they kind of brought them back. And I thought, okay, at first maybe that's kind of a cool thing. Maybe I really love these characters, especially one of them. And okay, but then as the series has gone, where they kind of reintroduced these characters, I kind of feel like it was this thing of where they have, you know, done this strictly for ratings to draw people in, more or less kind of shoehorning something in to try to, you know, keep people interested and not stay with like kind of the thread that the series has established, where it's not going to necessarily go down that commercial route. And it felt like they were doing that around these two characters that they essentially brought back from the dead. That, and it's kind of gotten to the point where I feel like it's ridiculous, and it's kind of diminished what those characters were to me, as far as how much I enjoy them and actually care about them. And I feel like the story and everything is just really, well, overall, I feel like at this point it's just really dragging. And I found, again, I've been watching the show a lot, and I've been watching it a lot at night, and I've been just continually excited and just wanting more. And now it's at a point where I'm just like kind of exhausted. I have been watching less. It's been a weird thing. I've been watching less and less each night. You know, I would watch, you know, say a few weeks ago or whatever, I'd watch like at least 2 or 3 hours or 2 hours at night, at least that as average, usually more. But I'd rip right through it and just totally love it, throw in the next disc or the next, you know, the next season or whatever. Just ripping right through it, totally into it, totally invested, totally caring about what's happening, going on this great thrill ride. And now it's at a point where I'm like getting through, you know, where I'm 45 minutes. And it's like getting less and less. And I'm just kind of like feeling the fatigue. I'm feeling exhausted and feeling that it's dragging ass. I think it's too slow, in all honesty. And ironically, this is at the point of where the books have basically the source material is over. They're this is at the point that, and I believe this season is where now where HBO and the creators of the series have taken artistic liberty with continuing on with the storyline and to basically capitalize on the success of the show. And I honestly have to say I see that. To me now there is this like it's to me it's blatantly obvious now that they're not that the source material is not being used, and it does not have the cohesiveness that of the first 5 seasons. It just does not have that high quality to it, and it feels like they are shoehorning and trying to milk this great story or stories. And there's also another main character in this story of which has been and is like one of the most popular characters in the entire series, Jon Snow. And they essentially brought him back from the dead, and it was kind of interesting. And now it's just like I feel like it was totally pointless with what they're doing with him now. They're basically doing the same thing. There's no payoff around it. There's no rhyme or reason as to why he is back in the series. It doesn't make any sense. I feel like it was an action by the TV by the the designers of the show to basically milk this whole kind of thing because it's such a successful show, and Jon Snow, is such a successful or very popular character. And I just feel like they've turned this whole thing at this point. I feel like it's been turned into, for all intents and purposes, a cash cow to make money to try to continue the series. And not at all really kind of staying with the cohesive thread that this series originally established so brilliantly. I don't know. So, and again, I'm at a weird point because now I'm honestly not sure if I can make it through. I still have the last disc. I'm almost done with the second to last episode on season 6, and then there are 2 more full seasons. And to be honest, I'm not sure I really want to watch the rest of it. I'm just kind of like exhausted. It's weird. Kind of a night and day difference for me right now, or a night and day experience around this whole show. And I'm not sure if I want to continue with it, to be totally honest. And I just feel it's the difference between the show being centered on the incredible source material, and now where it's being continued on by the creators of the show to because the show is successful, and they are basically they hire their own writers. They have they're taking all of these liberties with the story, and I feel like to me it's so glaringly obvious that that this is not based where the story is now. It is not based at all on the storyline, and it's not cohesive really, in almost every way. It just does not. The transition between the two is not smooth, and I see it. It's glaringly obvious to me. And I just have to say again, these are just my opinions, but I just feel like at the end of the day, that all of that being said, I feel like it's just kind of dragging ass right now. I think it's really slow, and kind of boring, and it's hard to get through. So I don't know if I'm going to continue this, but this might or might not be, but it might be the last review for Game of Thrones, and this is season 6, and I have to say, it's a tall drink of water. It's okay. It starts off pretty well, pretty good, but I noticed it starting to shift for me. Again, I'm on disc 5 of season 6, and it was probably about disc 4, probably. And again, these are all DVDs that I've rented from Opera House Video, so I'm not watching it streaming. I'm watching like actual physical discs, and so I noticed it shifting for me. The beginning, probably about the second or going into the second episode of season 6, it started to shift for me. And now it's at a place of where I'm really feeling that. So this might be the very last show that I'm going to do and review involving Game of Thrones, or it might not be, but I'm not really excited about continuing it, to be totally honest. I've had some friends, which I kind of hope was hoping they wouldn't do it, but I've had some friends, and I had heard, throughout the years, that when you get to season 6 through 8, or season 7 and 8, things really go south, and that things are really take a turn for the worst in a lot of ways. And again, in hindsight, I feel like when I heard about that, and at that point I never really even seen the show, and I had always heard that the first few seasons were just magnificent, just really amazing. And I totally agree with it. It's phenomenal. season 1 through 5, I just think is just incredible, just incredible. Um, and I have to say, when I heard so many negative things about 6, 7, and 8, especially 7 and 8, it was kind of almost those voicings of those opinions about it uh, was resoundingly loud, and compared to what I heard from people saying who loved the finale, the last few seasons. Those voices that defended it or said that it was really great, those last few seasons, was pretty minuscule in comparison to people who had lots of issues around it, and kind of glaring, uh, and very very vocal about how disappointed a lot of people were around it, and I can kind of understand that now. So this might be the last season. I if you're watching this series all the way through, I think it's worth seeing this season 6, which this today's show is about. But again, I think it drags. I think it drags. There's a lot of things that I have around it, a lot of issues that I have around it. I named them a few minutes ago, but for its sheer entertainment value, I think it just really drags. So this might be my last series. I don't know if I'm going to continue on with the series. It might not be. Maybe I will rally the troops and continue on. But at this point, I'm kind of just like, I need a break. So yeah. So this is Jason Dean, and we'll see you on the flip side. Peace.